Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I was just thinking, I've been telling you guys good morning in our training this morning, and I have a feeling that it's morning for me and not for many of you anymore. But what can I say? I've got my giant mug of tea. Look at this. And we are going to go so deep today. It's like not even a soup bowl, it's like a server. So, if you don't already know me, my name is Jackie Lacroix, and I am so excited to be here with you guys today. I was thinking about obviously the topic that we're going to go into today, and we've been building on this for a couple weeks now. If you guys have been watching the master classes, watching the trainings I've been doing, you're starting hopefully to see how some of these pieces fit together. And today, we're going to go even deeper. And last night, I was singing. I'm really going to go as long as my voice holds up. Move before hours of teaching today, but I just care about you guys understanding this so deeply. So I was thinking about it. I was thinking, wow, this is really more like a paid course. And I'm just a lot of content. I am really explaining stuff, but that's fine, and I don't need to do this. I take most of my clients through calls who find me randomly on the internet or through ads. This is really important for you guys to understand because this is how you achieve lasting freedom as a woman. As I go through the world and I travel so much now, which I and I'm in so many airports and in different cities and in hotels and events, and I can't help it. I love watching, especially masculine feminine dynamic. And here's the thing. The masculine feminine dynamic is happening even when only one or the other is present. So I can watch a man who's not aware that I'm there and see how the way he holds up as a man, the way he's interacting with people around him, even other men, the way he's walking, the way he's dressed, all of it is somehow in certain ways influenced by the way he sees himself as a man. And part of the way he sees himself as a man is the way he thinks about and interacts with women, right? And even more fascinating to me and important for the work that I do is watching women without a man necessarily even present, but even more so when one is, and watching the way their behaviors, the way they hold themselves, the way they dress themselves, the way they speak to their children, to the man with them, to other people, the look in their eyes, the expression on their face, how they see themselves as a woman. And usually, and of course, I'm not a super genius, but I can start to make some educated guesses about where that woman is on her path to freedom as a woman. Now, we live in a world that is not perfect. So there's only so much that we can control. If you've been watching the email series that I'm sending out, the Guide to Feminine Mastery over this last week, then you've seen me define mastery not as the ability to control our lives or worry, because we can't. And I don't want to give you some kind of false promise saying, oh my gosh, don't worry, then everything's going to be perfect. And it's going to go so smooth. And everybody's going to behave the way you want them to behave. And magical things are going to rain down from the sky, right? That doesn't happen. So to me, control is not a useful word. And in fact, many women recognize that they actually don't want to be in the energy of control, right? They may find that they even struggle, they might use that word, with trying to control things and recognizing that it's fruitless and futile, but still nevertheless feeling this urge for a sense of safety or for a sense of peace or a sense of value to control things, right? So control isn't the word we want. And another word people often use to describe what women are seeking or what they should be aiming for is balance. I personally kind of detest the word balance. I mean, it sounds very nice, and certainly there may be times when it flows through my head, I just want to kind of have a balanced day. I want to return to balance or recenter. But to me, life is impossible to have either controlled, right, or at a balance at all times. And some of the most beautiful parts of life are actually achieved by feeling totally out of balance, right? How many of you have been on an incredible vacation and you're not doing anything, right? Like those are the best vacations when you're just face planted on your towel on the beach, no idea what time it is, not even sure what day of the week it is. No one can access you. You don't even have cell service. It's amazing. There's no balance there, right? And you might say, well, in the bigger picture of life where I'm working over here and now I finally get to take a vacation, that's my balance. But my point is, the pendulum swings from almost extremes of life to the other, and we want that. I don't think I want every day of my life to include a certain portion of play and a certain, you know what I mean? Like, It would be so boring. Who are in your ability to enjoy men, to enjoy intimacy, to enjoy dating and relationships. Sometimes that experience, in case you haven't known, throws every balance, right? It's just like, I feel totally out of control. I feel totally out of whack. This is do. My emotions are like crazy. My day schedule is just thrown to the wind. And yet that allows an experience that's beautiful, right? That creates ecstasy, that creates maybe a relationship you do want to get into, or maybe something where it's like, that was a really magnificent day. We call it balanced, but I wouldn't have missed it for the world, right? So we don't control. We don't want balance. What we want is mastery. And mastery I define as the ability to ride life, okay? To ride through life, no matter what it throws at you. Yes, you're going to get thrown down a couple times. Yeah, be some in the road, right? But you have this ability to rise and not just kind of stumble through. And certainly there are phases like that, right? Where you're kind of like just trying to get back on my feet. You don't want to be perpetually in a state where you're just trying to get back on your feet. How many of you know someone who is almost always quote unquote survive, right? At some point, as I probably should, right? Because I know that point in a country where, and in most of the world, honest, if you're able to watch this video in a peaceful, quiet place with why we have incredible ability to shape our lives. So joy and strong, I can't do it. It's everyone else's fault. There's always a crisis, always an emergency. I can get to it, and it's their fault, and their fault, and the world's fault, and this is fault. And, it's a very victim mentality. So yes, there are periods of life where we go through needing to get back on our feet. But if we are like trying to get back on our feet, something's off, right? Something's off. I think we want to, even when things are tough, and they can get tough at times, for sure, we want to feel like not I'm in control, not I have balance, but I am master of my domain. Can't control everything. Things will get out of whack here and there, and it'll be a little off kilter sometimes. Sure. Sometimes I even want it off kilter, right? Like we just said. But I am the mistress of this. I am in charge of this. I am the master, right? Feminine version of master is mistress, which is weird. But anyway, we're going to go with master, okay? I have mastery over my life. I have mastery over the different areas of my life. And what I find then is that, what does that look like, right? A lot of women, okay, that sounds amazing. So what do? I need like a new to-do app. I probably need a new planner. I should start a whole new organizing system. I should bring, you know what I mean? Like mastery as a woman, I believe, actually begins very much internally and is actually focused around the core areas of being a woman that we've been talking about, right? Some of which are body, beauty, intimacy, men, and then less feminine, but in a feminine way, money and mission. Okay. And we've been talking about those for the last few weeks, but I haven't shown you guys, I've shown you how it can go wrong, right? And I've shown you kind of how to try to restructure it so you can think differently, so you can get out of the negative cycles into the positive cycles. But today I want to show you an incredible power move that really allows for mastery. Okay. Are you excited? Yes, I'm very excited. I'm hoping my voice holds up because this is really important content and I cannot wait to dive in. But first, let me give you a little bit of my backstory. If you are newer to my world, or if it's just been a minute, you can't quite remember, who is this chick again, who I follow? So I'm so glad that you're here. I began, I would say, my journey in all of this probably in college. And I was a very studious girl. I was a great student. Okay, guys. I mean, like looking back at myself and not having some of the same habits now that I did then, I'm very proud of myself. Like very impressed. Don't want to live that way anymore, but I was on the money. We want to talk about control. I was very in control of all of the factors that I could manage. And at the time, I wasn't aware of it, but it was very much so that I could feel safe. And one of the reasons I had a craving to feel safe was that my mother is quite disabled, right? So she has several health issues that I have worked with her through for the majority of my life, right? And certainly she had them before I came along, and the rest of my family has helped as well. But that definitely, I think, gave me a sense of you can't guarantee your safety in the world, right? Especially as a woman, right? When your body isn't well, so much is now outside of your control. So as a young woman, I very much craved a sense of I'm okay. and even if my mom can't get to me or she's in the hospital, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And I found that sense of safety through the fake sense of safety that's in control or perceived control. And that was like my happy place. That was like my solace. I could do all of the school assignments. I could master, I could ace the tests. I could add more degrees. I could graduate at the top of my class. I could do it. I was in control in that domain, and that made me feel safe, right? How many of you know that when you're in school, this crazy thing happens, there's graduation, and eventually school is done. Yes, right? Eventually, the space where you felt like I have mastered this, and maybe for you, it's something different. Maybe it's, there's like a sport you compete in, and then eventually the season ends, and who are you now? Or there's a relationship you were in and it ends, and now who are you now? Or your child goes off to school and now you have all this free time, and who are you now? There's this season of like, it's time to graduate to the next level, which sounds exciting, right? On my Instagram yesterday, I put up a song called Next Level, which I just found. And I've been like, that's one of the reasons my voice is shot. I've been like singing it. It's awesome. We get so excited about the concept of next level. But how many of you secretly, maybe you don't tell anyone, maybe you don't even admit it to yourself, are terrified of your next level? Yes? Yes? I know that right now, so many things are growing in my life at a rapid pace. It's like, Lord, can we slow it down a little bit? Right? Or could you at least make me able to take in air enough to keep running with you, Father, right? So sometimes the next level is very scary, especially if it takes you into a domain that is not your comfort zone, where you haven't learned or been able, or you're aware that you won't even be able at all to maintain or to achieve a perceived state of control, right? So when I got out of academia, it was like, now what do I do, right? Like, right? And it was a beautiful period where I had to look at other areas of myself that I hadn't had the time to before, right? Like I had been running quickly to hit the assignments, to hit the deadlines, to hit the targets, and I did. And now that those targets and those deadlines weren't there, oh my gosh, now what do I get to, like, what now? I kind of have to look internally. Who am I without those things? I think a lot of that happened to many people during COVID. We had so many external speed, like, let's go, this is the thing to do in our lives. And then suddenly when we're all on lockdown, so many of those external stimuli that tell us what to do and when to do it and keep going are gone. And a lot of people looked internally. And for some people, it was a beautiful process. For other people, it was a brutal process. A lot of mental health issues came up during COVID. If you guys have seen all the statistics, right? Like when we suddenly deal with who we are, because whatever part of our lives we were comfortable in has been taken from us or has ended, or we have graduated, and now we're kind of sitting on the sidewalk outside the school with our diploma, like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Right? How many of you have had some kind of moment in your lives, even recently, where it's like, oh, it's time for what's next. It's time for what's next, right? So in those moments, it can be terrifying, and we can lean in, and then we can be terrified again, and we can lean in. And really, it's kind of an identity crisis. But the beautiful thing about an identity crisis, if we are aware of it, which is why I'm so glad you guys are here, is that when we have an identity crisis, we have the opportunity to, shockingly, choose a new identity, or even just to simply become aware of our true identity. That often doesn't happen without a crisis. So I have learned in life, we all have our bumps. I have learned to be so grateful for crisis, because it forces me to look at who I really am, what I'm really supposed to be doing, and what's not working. Because when we're in a vortex, and I'm thinking just for an example of like a corporate job that's very high pressure, high tempo, let's go, let's go, let's go. You have a lot of people telling you what to do and keeping you on task, right? This needs to be done by this meeting. Have you finished that project? Have you gotten those stats back for us? You know what you need to do when you're in a kind of tunnel vision of high tempo world. Yes. But the question is, do you actually want the goal that all of those tasks in that funnel and that tunnel, if you will, are driving you toward, right? So the people in your world at a high tempo job like that are designed to keep you on task for their goal. And a coach is designed to say, but is that the goal you actually even want to have? Right? Which is why I love identity crisis moments. We don't have to, but it's an incredible opportunity, should we so choose to accept it, to say, am I who I want to be? Am I heading where I want to be heading? Am I doing what I'm here on earth to be doing, what I want to be doing, it feels aligned with my soul to be doing. They're scary questions to ask if you haven't asked them before, and we can feel very out of control and off balance. But it's an opportunity for us to achieve mastery. So back to my story a little bit, right? In that kind of nebulous, oh my gosh, I'm outside of my comfort zone of academia now, right? I don't want to go get yet another degree. I know it's time for something new. I had to look at certain things I had not yet dealt with, namely my relationship with my body, my relationship with my appearance, my relationship with intimacy, my relationship with men, and later on my relationship with money and mission. But I kind of, the biggest pain points at that point in my life were those first four. Okay. So a lot of women manage to kind of hurdle through life, and it's not even necessarily by their own doing, it just can happen, to hurdle through life without actually looking at these four areas of femininity, which is why I love to focus on them. Because when women come to me and let's say they want to build a business, or they're kind of interested in the online world, or they want an extra stream of income, they get like this on money. And if they're wise, they get like this on mission as well, right? I want to do something that feels meaningful to me. I want to do something that's aligned with me. And that's beautiful. But I'm like, that's amazing. Good for you. And I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, if you will, but it's not going to satisfy you if those first four areas of femininity are not mastered, or at least heading toward mastery, right? Because here's the beautiful thing about mastery. You don't actually have to achieve it in order to enjoy it. Like for real, okay? It's helpful. It's even better, right? But just beginning the journey to get there feels so good, and not in a fake feel good way, in a true, I'm finally aligning. Right? How many of you know when you start maybe down a hiking path or something to get to a waterfall? Yes, it's amazing. When you finally get to the waterfall and you are there and you have the view and you take the selfies and all the things, right? But just beginning, knowing that you're on the right path feels really good. Yeah? You don't have to have arrived yet. You know you're going to get there. It just feels good to know you're going in the right direction. What doesn't feel good is not having any phone service, not that I'm speaking from experience, okay? Being like at a trailhead with 15 different directions, trying to figure out this map that of course has no words so that everybody around the world can also not understand it, right? Like, and you're just like, where am I going? Where am I going? Right? That doesn't feel good. But recognizing, okay, oh, that's the path to the waterfall. That feels good. I'm going to head down that one. And just knowing that you're going in the right direction feels good. So you don't have to achieve, quote unquote, if that's even possible, mastery, or even get very close to mastery in these areas of femininity to start to feel the results of the self-confidence and the self-trust and the self-respect, to know I'm headed in the right direction. I can feel the way I've honored myself, the way I'm loving myself, the greater respect, compassion, honor, and love I now have for people around me. This is good. I'm going in the right direction, right? That's one of my favorite things about mastery. It doesn't have to be achieved to be enjoyed. We just have to start down the path. But what a lot of women will do, pray for my voice, guys. It's going to be a good one. Maybe I should sing. Not going to happen. Just kidding. What women often do is they ignore mastery entirely instead in those areas, right? So it just takes starting down the path to feel good. But the opposite of feeling good is the opposite of starting down the path, which is recognizing there's pain there. Therefore, I don't want to go there. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to, let's pretend that doesn't exist. Let's look this way and just, I don't want to know what my weight is. I don't want to know what my health is. I don't want to, interact with men. I'm focused on my career. I'm focused on my career, right? Like I don't need a man right now. It's been 10 years, but I don't need a man, right? Like, etc. Right? When we aren't allowing the identity crisis, which can bring that feeling of out of control, out of balance, holy crap, oh my gosh, what's going on? I don't think I can handle this. And like the mini meltdowns that can be in there, just being real, the mini breakdowns, because it's a breakdown of false identity. It's a breakdown of false belief, which is really good, right? How many of you have ever tried to build something on a pile of trash, right? Like if your kid asks you to go, oh, this is a metaphor that's just coming, and I hope it is meaningful to you as it is to me. If your child asks you to build a sandcastle for them, right? Are you going to take them by the hand and say, absolutely, sweetheart, perfect, I know just the spot. We're going to go over here to the dumpsters, and we're going to find the one that's overflowing with all of this junk. that nobody needs anymore. And we're going to build our sandcastle on that. Yes. And then it's like, it's going to be so tall on this heap of trash. And the sand probably will start to fall apart and then fall into all the trash and it will ultimately like melt, but that's okay. Right? No. Where do you build a sandcastle? On the beautiful, smooth stretch of sand that's like just hard enough, right? It's not so close to the ocean that it's about to be washed away right away, but it's not way back here where the sand is so soft. And every time you step in it, you've got to like extract your foot for the next step. And you wonder, oh yeah, this is why they call running on sand a workout, right? It's in that beautiful, smooth, solid, not about to be washed away, just firm enough, empty stretch of sand that the water has already cleared, cleansed, flattened. That's where you build. Right? You don't build on a pile of crappy false beliefs that nobody needs anymore. But in order to get through that process of cleansing, I mean, time at the ocean is highly recommended, but it does sometimes, it sparks that identity crisis, which doesn't always feel good. But in that, what I want you to remember is this is what I need to get the solid ground to build on. Right? Now, what might an identity crisis look like in your life? Like what might, I don't think I've ever talked about this, but what about the symptoms of an identity crisis? Guys, give me some if you can think of some, or tell me in the comments later. Okay, how about negative feedback from other people in your life? That's a fun one. What are you doing? That's a dumb idea. Who do you think you are? That's never going to work. You really think you can do that? People are going to think that you're a right? Oh, love negative feedback from other people in our lives. Isn't it fun? It's like, thank you. I am right in the middle of a massive transformation and I really need encouragement and you just tore me down, right? Definitely a symptom of identity crisis. And the opportunity we have in that particular symptom is to say, I love you. I hear you. Thank you for caring about me. But you don't determine my identity. You don't determine my calling. My job is to be faithful to my assignment, not faithful to your opinion of me. Oh, then you mic drop and you walk out the room, right? It can go a little messier than that, but that is the heart space that we want to come from when we encounter that symptom of an identity crisis. Now, how about you do walk out? You do your little like, I'm standing up for myself, and then you walk to your room and you feel empowered, and then suddenly the doubts hit, like they just come in through the window like a gust of wind. And all alone in your room by yourself, maybe at night you're thinking, I don't, maybe they're right. I don't think I can do this. This isn't going to work. Who the heck do I think I am? There's no way that's going to fly, right? Like people aren't going to listen to me. They're not going to buy from me. They're not going to, want to date me. They're like, this isn't going to work, right? The internal doubts, the internal beliefs. We've got the external doubts and the internal doubts. And the identity crisis brings up the opportunity to handle both. So much fun, right? So much fun. It will feel, if you're doing it right, in my experience. And so when this happens, I want you to just take a deep breath and know, perfect, this is a great sign. I'm right on track. It'll almost feel like, without sounding too scary, or like a burning sensation inside, right? Like it's just like this. And it's the same kind of sensation often that you feel when you've just been embarrassed or you've gotten terrible news and you're kind of sick to your stomach. Any of those kind of sensations where you're just like, ugh, I don't think so. I think I should go back here where I'm safe, where I'm in control, where I know how to run this part of my life this way. Yeah. Let me just say no to that dream. I'm just going to go over here and stay in the body that everybody's used to me being in, stay in the appearance that everybody's used to me showing up in, stay single and, focused on my career like everybody's used to me being, or slightly unhappy in my marriage like everybody's used to me being. Right? Not bringing an income or not bringing an income in a way that feels aligned, all of that kind of stuff. I'm just going to stay miserable because I know it. And no one's going to push on me. No one's going to, or if they do, it's ways I've already handled. I have no internal, reactions when they say things. I'm good here. The opportunity of an identity crisis is to feel that burn. And instead of running, you don't even have to step in. That's a pro tip right there. Okay. Just stay standing. Okay. And just like feel the burn. You know what I mean? It's almost like holding a yoga pose or a stretch or whatever you guys want to call it. some kind of intense workout move where you don't even have to do anything. You're just holding a new position for your body, for your being that it's not used to. And you're feeling you're feeling the burn, you're feeling the tension, you're feeling, oh my gosh, can I do this? And as you are just holding still rather than running, your body is learning, oh, this is me. I can do this. Look, I'm not dead. You know what I mean? Like, I thought this would kill me, and yet I live, right? Literally, your body is retraining that you are safe in a new identity. And the first step is simply not to run back. It's just to stay standing. You can sit down if you need to. But the point is, don't run. Don't run. Yeah? Feel it, feel the tension, hear the external, hear the internal. I hear you, even to yourself. I love you. Thank you for caring about me. I know I'm going to be fine. I know this is what I'm here to do next. I know I'm going to be safe in it. It's going to be okay. And that repeated process is how you allow yourself to be ready for mastery. Really, mastery is a choice. Mastery is a choice to feel the identity crisis, and instead of running back to who we were, to stay standing until we're ready to then step forward into who we're here to be. Okay? Yes? Cool. So let's break down my story a little bit more in the areas of the 3 double helixes. Okay, apparently it's helices. Okay, guys, we're going to go with double helix relationships, double helix connections, so that I don't try to come up with the plural of helix for this whole training. Okay, but we're going to go through these 3 areas, and I'm going to show you the power move that for me and for the clients I have worked with, hundreds of women, changes the game. Okay, 1-2 step. Okay, and this is what allows you to be in that moment of, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this, and have something to do with your mind. Basically, have something to do in your brain, feel the emotions, acknowledge the emotions, process the emotions, weep, sob, go for a run, whatever you need to do, right? And then where do you take your brain next when you've kind of cleared the emotions and now you're just tired and thinking, okay, I'm still in, I'm still going to do this. Now what, right? These are the brain movements, if you will, the moves mentally that I want you to make that are going to allow you to get over that hurdle. Okay, ready? Let's begin. Let me find my marker. Okay. How many of you remember what? Come on, guys, help me out here. Okay, I was a writing major. I actually, and it's interesting because, my first journey was around my body in college. And in fact, I'll just tell you this, guys, the story now. Man, it's been a long time since I've told this story. So I was 15 when I started modeling. Okay, I was in high school. Yeah, 15. And I went to modeling school, John Hunter Powers, represent. Okay, they had the big picture of Jackie Kennedy on the wall. And started taking classes, legit modeling classes. I mean, you want to be like, what do you have to learn? Like walking. Literally, you learn to walk, you learn to sit, you learn to take a coat off, guys, while walking, like crazy advanced techniques, And it was fine because I played competitive basketball. I was in that still very control mentality that I had used to master academia. And now I was using it to master my body. I was maintaining my weight. I was counting my calories, but I was pretty miserable. And yet I did have the physique that I needed to be in modeling at that time, right? So then I went to college. Who's heard of the freshman 15? I didn't get the freshman 15. I know, right? Control, rigorous, tight control. And then halfway through college, my mother had another medical issue that was much more serious than anything we'd faced before, right? The doctors gave her 6 months to live. Whew. And everyone kind of freaked out in my family, you know what I mean? And everyone processed it in the way they did. And my mom, of course, giving 6 months to live is not something you're like, okay, thank you so much for telling me. Like everyone was freaking out. And I was at home for the summer between sophomore and junior years of college. And I became her primary caregiver, right? And so a combination of emotional support and the actual physical support, she essentially, what we now know, was having a vitamin B12 deficiency, very, very severe. And so she lost most of the feeling in her nerves. She was unable to walk. She was unable to feed herself. She wasn't able to chew. She couldn't speak very easily. She couldn't bathe herself. Like no fine motor skills, so no driving, no cutting with a knife, no, all of that stuff. And so you can imagine the intensity of care that was needed, and the vitamin shots that we finally were told to give her that finally brought her back from the brink. Praise God, right? But in that summer, I had basically my body crisis. Yeah. Mentally could not process the fact that my mother possibly was going to die and I was everything all of a sudden. Physically, like, what's my outlet? You know what I mean? I'm living at home. I'm taking care of my mom 24/7. Food is my outlet. Food is my friend, right? Have been in periods where food is your best friend because he just broke up with you, or you just lost the job, or you found out that friends who you thought were friends were talking about you behind your back, or you failed tests that were supposed to get you whatever, right? Like food. Food is there, right? The fridge is there. It's so consistent, and the freezer with ice cream is even more there, so that became my outlet. And you can imagine, possibly, and if not, go with me, the identity crisis that happened when, no, I didn't gain the freshman 15, I gained the junior 50. And the chick who had just signed with another modeling agency the year before now comes back in her mother's maternity clothes to college, right? And at that point, my mom was back on the upswing, thank God. But I had my crisis, and my identity of my image and my weight and my status as a model was just ripped out from underneath me, right? And yet I couldn't not go back to school, right? So I had an identity crisis moment. And I'll be honest with you guys, that was 2007, is that right? I didn't figure out my body. And this is why I am so passionate about talking about this. And I'm going to pray for my voice because this deserves to be a course, but I want you guys to have this information. So we're doing it today. It took me until 2012 to learn to love my body, probably 2011, 2012, and probably 2014 to master my weight and my wellness again, while maintaining the body love that I had learned and a new lifestyle that wasn't all control. So do the math with me. That's math. Let's see, 7 years, right? 7 years between body crisis and body mastery. 7 years of my life, right? And then I had almost a little mini crisis right after I had my daughter. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going to lose this baby weight. I could not get it off for the life of me. How many of you had a child? And then they're like, don't worry, she's just going to nurse it right off of you. And instead, during nursing, you gain weight and you just want to be like, I'm sorry. I was informed that nursing takes the weight off. This is putting it on. Explain this, right? So mini crisis, but really because I'd already learned how to care for my body when I then stopped nursing and she was big enough, the weight fell off because I knew what I was doing. So 7 years still between this kind of body breakdown, identity breakdown in my body and in my appearance, which I'm going to show you with this first double helix in a second. But I didn't know that at the time. And in fact, it started to come into the second one, which I'm going to talk to you about in the second half of this masterclass today. 7 years, guys. 7 years of my precious life. How many of you, we're going to reveal our age here, right, ladies? How many of you look at pictures of yourself younger and you remember the lack of confidence that you had and the lack of self-love and the panic around people liking you and being good enough? And you just want to say, oh my gosh, if I could have that skin and that body back now with the confidence and the not caring as much as I have now, I would have enjoyed my life so much, right? How many of you, even more seriously, know or have been young women who are, lost doesn't cut it, paralyzed doesn't cut it, crippled almost isn't even, it becomes a matter for some women of life and death, literally. The insecurities they have around their weight, their beauty, the different features of different parts of their body, the shape of different things, whether or not they're wanted by men, whether or not they look like other girls. It's not even just a casual, oh, we need to help them with their confidence. It is sometimes reaches the point of medical emergencies, right? Because of the way we see ourselves and the way we understand and are able to master our bodies. Now, certainly some of those things truly do head into needing medical and psychological care. But a lot of us are just in that messy middle zone of not liking our bodies, not wanting to look at it, or when we do look at it, coming up with all of the symptoms of body shame, which if you guys have studied my work in body stewardship, right? You've heard that term. We feel the shame of not being good enough in our bodies. And so we react, right? We blame men, we blame society, we blame media, we blame cultural standards, we blame other women. We run from it, we hide, we shut down, we cover, we wear big baggy clothes, try to pretend we don't even have a feminine body, and we focus on other hobbies, other interests, other achievements that we hope can kind of keep us out of being even evaluated at all for our physical form, right? How not fun is that? That's not mastery, but that's very much what I was journeying through in those years. I mean, I think if there is a list, actually, it's somewhere in one of my courses somewhere of the symptoms of shame. I checked every single body shame box, like do, without even knowing, right? Because it was such a deep wound. I'd had such a strong identity in it. Then I lost the identity. And I knew even as I lost it, I think part of me was aware of this identity crisis that we're talking about. I don't want to go back to that. How many of you have ever been there? Like you lose something that you did value, but you're also kind of aware of what you had to be sacrificing in order to keep the thing that you thought you valued. And you want part of it back, but you don't want all of it back, right? Like I remember counting out soybeans for how many I could have as a snack between meals. I remember walking around campus, talking on the phone after dinner, distract myself on bedtime because I was so hungry. Right? I also remember in the second half of college, walking to whatever the convenience store was to get like massive bags of Indian trail mix to like eat right before I went to bed, because we all know that high calorie foods right before bed is a really solid move, right? When you're trying to balance your weight. Right. So like I knew I wanted part of it back. I knew I didn't want the experience I was having now, but I didn't have an answer for what something else would look like. So I spent years researching that. I mean, the way that I, after that, then researched men and intimacy and attraction, I spent those 7 years trying to figure out my body and body in general. And I went through culture and I went through health and I went through medical research, all of that stuff, right? To figure it out. What I didn't know was what I'm about to teach you right now, though. Okay. This, if I had known, would have shortened 7 years. I mean, 7 minutes is like, we're going to teach it in 7 minutes. You're going to get it in 7 minutes, but 7 weeks, maybe 7 months if I really, really had a lot to process, but not 7 years, 7 days. Anyway, okay. This is the first double helix. Go with me on my drawing skills. Okay. Speaking of mastery, that is an area I have not yet mastered, possibly never will. Okay. All right. It's got to go. Those of you who have actually studied, what is it, guys? Is it biology that we learned about DNA and the double helix? It's got to be biology. It's not chemistry, right? Writing major. Anyway, you're going to laugh at my drawing and say that doesn't look like that at all. But you're going to get the idea, okay? All right. I want to say it goes like this. I think I'm going to look at an image after this because, you know, I have my notes, but alas, I didn't map out what a double helix looks like. I should have, because I don't think these loops. Anyway, it's just the extra special version, okay? So here's the thing, right? Body is in blue. Beauty, just a lighter line there, but you guys can see it, I think. Barely. Let me go over it one more time. The bad loop-de-loops. Beauty is in green, okay? That's terrible, guys. It's terrible, but you get the point. Okay. What we do as women, which absolutely, I don't want to say obliterates, that's a strong word, but it deeply makes harder, okay? Our ability to master either one of these, our body or our appearance, is we mix them up and see them as one. Now, here's a little exercise for you guys, okay, to figure out if you're doing this. In fact, we've been going for, I'm not even quite sure, I'm trying to look at a clock, about 40 minutes. You can take a moment if you want and journal this out. You can do it at the end of this. You can just write down the question now and look for the answers later. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down maybe the top 5 things that you don't like about your body. Okay. And I'm going to give you some examples. Okay. So there's a little bit of a cheat sheet, but what I want you to look for is what kind of things come up. Okay. So some things you might write down might be, I don't like my tummy. I don't like my nose. I don't like my, my upper arms. I don't like my skin tone. I don't like my hair. I don't like, right? It might be something like that. And I almost don't want to tell you this, but you need to know, okay? So try to be honest with yourself, even though I'm about to tell you how to interpret what comes up for you, okay? And hopefully they've already just naturally come up, okay? All of those things that I just listed are technically parts of your body, right? Yes? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes, right? Like we learned this in school. These are parts of our body. But why don't you like them? Right? So that's the second question, really, to ask yourself. What don't you like about your body? And then why? For your tummy, you might say something like, I don't feel attractive in bathing suits, in in date night dresses. I don't feel attractive when I'm intimate with my husband. Yeah, I don't feel attractive. Why don't you like I can't remember what I picked. Your hair, right? Why don't you like your hair? I don't like the gray hairs that are growing in. I don't like texture. I don't like the length. I don't like the color. I don't like that I can never get it to do what I want. Why don't you like your upper arms? I don't like that they're so much bigger than my lower arms, and I feel like I have to wear long sleeve shirts to cover them, right? Notice every single one of those reasons is a beauty reason. Okay? Every single one of the things, if things like that came up for you, and they might not have, and I'll give you a different example in a moment. But of those examples, everything that came up about what we don't like about our bodies was a feature, essentially, that we focused on. And the reason we don't like it is because of a beauty reason, an appearance insecurity. If you really want like a sneak peek of where we're headed, creeping over into I won't be wanted by men because my body isn't hitting a beauty standard, right? So we think that we have an issue with our bodies. It's not about our bodies at all. I mean, to some extent, and we'll look at that in a second. But the heartfelt reason beneath it is, I don't feel beautiful. Well, what's the problem with not feeling beautiful? You can still eat and go to the bathroom and go to sleep. I mean, you're okay, right? Well, if I'm not beautiful, I won't be wanted. And we can really take it deep psychologically into if I'm not wanted, I won't be safe, etc. Right? But for now, I just want you to understand, we think we have body insecurities, but it's a beauty issue, right? Now let's like chop this, okay? How am I going to chop a double helix that already looks that bad? I don't even know. Let's just take, I should give you guys a 5-minute break just so I can look what a double helix actually looks like. Let's take body, okay, all by itself. So now if I say, what don't you like about your health, right? You might even have to use a different word to get yourself out of the beauty spiral, the beauty wound. What don't you like about your health, or what's bothering you in your body that has nothing to do with appearance? Okay. So now suddenly frizzy hair and the shape of your nose and the size of your upper arms and your tummy gone. What don't you like about, or what's not working as well as you'd like it to, the way it's functioning? Now, some of the same things may come up, right? Well, I don't like my tummy because I know, and it's a reminder that it's bloat because I haven't figured out my gut health and my digestion, right? Totally, I've been there, right? And it's a game changer when you do. So maybe it's not actually just an appearance thing. It's a reminder of I have a wellness issue that needs to be checked. Now, I want you to watch out for as you do this kind of wellness version that you don't come up with things. It's okay to come up with them. Just note as you do it. Oh, I don't like the fact that my ankle always bothers me when I run. Well, that's legitimate, right? You might want to have that checked out, or you might have to change your workout style. But you might find that even just me saying something like you may have to change your workout style almost triggers I can't do that because I run. Okay. Well, I mean, there's cycling and there's rowing and there's walking and there's yoga and there's calisthenics and there's weight training, but I run. Okay. Well, I run for my mental health, etc. And you might get down to I run because it keeps my weight down, and I'm scared and angry at my body and at this ankle that's continually bothering me because it won't let me run, and I'm afraid if I don't run, I'll gain weight, and if I gain weight, I won't be attractive, I won't be wanted, I won't be loved, I won't be safe, right? So even when we're dissecting this, right? Because the first step, you're going to notice this. I've already had it in the email, so you guys may have seen it. The first thing we're going to do is extract each of these 3 double helices so that we can really get to the core of mastering each one. Because when they're entangled incorrectly, I'm going to show you how to correctly rewind them at the end of this. But first, when they're tangled unhelpfully, when they're so tangled, it's like a jumble of string and we don't even know what's what. I think I'm angry at my ankle, but I'm actually scared I won't be loved. Like, what the heck, right? We want to extract, what is my state of body stewardship? Where is my wellness? That's the first powerful step a woman can take, is extracting her wellness from the entire mess of, am I attractive? Am I wanted? Am I loved? Am I safe? Am I well? Right? Because when I went through that initial weight gain, I wasn't well, right? I mean, I just wasn't. I mean, it's not even like an opinion and I prefer a different weight or something. I was eating way more than my body needed. And then I would work out to try to get it off out of fear and out of even anger toward myself, right? That's not wellness. Even if I had decided, okay, I do want to set weight that's higher than what I used to be. That's where my body's happiest. I want to be well in the way that I live to maintain that. I want to be well in my mind as I achieve that, right? The only way I have found for women to be able to do that quickly, easily, successfully, consistently is to extract body from the body beauty double helix. Because when you start thinking about your appearance and you start running a little farther than your body really can or wants to that day because you feel like you've got to lose 5 pounds before you see somebody, that's when your ankle acts up and then you can't run it off for the next week. And it's not a matter of, oh my gosh, now you can't lose the 5 pounds. It's, oh my gosh, the insecurities have harmed wellness. Okay. Now the danger here, it's not a danger, but the mistake that many women easily step into, and I went through this as well, okay, I'll tell you a little bit about it in a second, is to say, right, insert hair flip here, am not going to worry about what people think of how I look. I am only focused on my well-being and loving my body as it is. And therefore, I am not going to do anything to improve it or change it at all, right? Now, look, if your body is already in fabulous, flourishing health, and you think about it so positively, frankly, if that's where you are, you're not probably having that thought, okay? Because when you reach that point, you're open to more, to your body's kind of bigger role. But let's just say that, from a stewardship standpoint, you are in great health. This is what women will often do to close off out of fear of still not being good enough, right? And so they ignore, maybe they're already there, but often they're not. They ignore the state of stewardship of their bodies. They ignore their wellness in an attempt to pretend that beauty and the beauty wound and worrying about what men think and being sufficiently wanted and attractive or whatever they want to feel doesn't exist. Like, let's just pretend it doesn't exist. Okay, and they chop things off, trying desperately to avoid the beauty wound, which we're going to get to in a second. But in so doing, they ignore their wellness and they actually harm and jeopardize the well-being of their bodies because they haven't extracted their wellness from how they're perceived and whether they're loved. Okay? Is this making sense to you guys? I went through that period. I tried to basically be like, cultural standards are awful. Woo, that's a real war cry there, right? And, all of this is so unfair and men are so stupid and, superficial and like all of it. I went through that little phase. It was, even as you say it, like, Unless you're literally in the moment of maximum anger based on pain, you know you're lying to yourself. How many of you know? How many of you have been there trying desperately to convince yourself? And it's just not working, which makes you even more mad, or even more sad, or even more attempting to check out from the whole mess. So many women do this. And the way that I know that they've done this, okay, another pro tip, don't necessarily recommend this. I don't suggest doing this at home unless you're a trained professional, is I'll bring up, shame on me, right? No shame for me. I will bring up an issue, or a current event or a celebrity, and I'll watch women react. And the woman who was so sweet and so kind and just had all of her manners on it, was so complimenting everybody, suddenly she's like, "Row," like, you see the wound within that has been covered up by all the politeness, and everything is okay, and my life is just organized, and I found these cupcake recipes on Pinterest, and my life, but then you mention this they consider it a standard. I know it's the beauty wound. You now know it's the beauty wound, and you feel the pain. Now, look, you don't have to change anything if you don't want to, but I want you to be able to heal the pain. Okay? So let's get into beauty. So I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is the most difficult thing that I help women with before it's extracted. And this is one of the reasons why when I was first starting to teach on beauty, it was the hardest topic to teach on. And I was like, God, Lee, it's not that big of a deal. It's like hair and makeup. Come on, but I didn't recognize yet, or I didn't have the words to explain that this is what was happening. They had wrapped it into their wellness. So all of a sudden, that last doctor visit where they said you need to lose about 30 pounds in order to take the pressure off your joints or whatever, was being all wrapped up in, men won't like me. The world won't like me. I won't get the promotion. I won't fit into the cool group of girls. I can't be visible online, right? Everything here was pulling in pain from their actual wellness. But when we extract the two and beauty becomes its own pathetic loop, oh man, right? Then we get to say, okay. What do I not like about my body? What parts of that are actually just appearance and beauty? And what parts of that are true wellness and health? And of the true wellness and health things, how much of the pain of the feeling of pit in your stomach comes from, I need to have that dealt with. I know my digestion could be improved, to, I know it's a digestion issue, but oh my gosh, the next time my husband wants to have, all right, and I have to take off my clothes, like, I'm so tired of feeling embarrassed. Right? So when we just, like, you don't even have to fix it yet. Fix, quote unquote. You don't even have to address it or make the moves that I suggest to get out of the beauty wound. First, just being aware that it's different allows you to do the first initial, most healing wealth. Wealth is like, in a health sense, I guess. To me, it's like, this is, if you have this, you have everything. So I know a lot of women, and we'll get to the very end, where it's like they have made money, but they've lost this, which is the initial wealth, in my opinion. But anyway, like, when you learn to love and steward and take care of your body, no matter what, no matter who does or doesn't like it, is or isn't in your life, where you are or aren't, what you do or don't have, that's the beginning of being unstoppable as a woman. It's the beginning of reclaiming a lot of things. It's the beginning of reclaiming your appearance from this beauty wound. It's the beginning of reclaiming your appearance from what men think. It's the beginning of reclaiming your appearance from, lack of confidence and intimacy. And the only way I find you can do it is when you extract it first from that whole mess, and you say, I'm going to put blinders on. I'm just going to take great care of my body. Just for me. That's it. That's it. And when I was going through that part of my journey, the most powerful first step I took, and it's in the Body Stewardship course if you guys are in there, is unconditional self-love. I didn't even start with a meal plan. I didn't even start with a workout. I didn't even start with any other awareness that I then came to later. I began with just, I'm going to love myself unconditionally, no matter what. right now. I don't care who agrees. I don't care who thinks I'm worth it or not. I don't care who thinks I deserve it or not. I don't care what their opinion might be of what that looks like practically. What does loving on myself and receiving love and allowing myself to sink in and abide in God's love for me truly, what activities I do in order to create that feeling, to build that identity. I don't care what they think. I am going to do this thing. And shockingly, from there, I was able to so much more easily start stepping into actual better body care practices without all of the judgment, all of the fear, all of the anger at culture, all of the, all of the mess, because I had first centered on this is just for God, just for me, just us, just my wellness. Okay. So then when you get back to when you get back to beauty out of body, so much weight, literally maybe, but certainly figuratively is what I mean, has been lifted. And now you can look at this with like this core confidence, this knowing that you're going to be okay, that you're covering your own bases, that your body is loved and going to be well, no matter what happens or what anybody thinks or what does or doesn't happen in any other area of your life. That creates to me, if you have God in your health, world better watch out, Doesn't mean you need it. Like we all have health crises and things like that, but this to me is the core, right? Then you can move to the beauty issues with so much less angst. Okay. Now I could go deep in the beauty wound, but I'm thinking that I might actually just do another training on it because it's so much. And the most valuable thing I can actually teach you about it is the way that we wrongly start to intertwine it with our next double helix, because there are definitely women, right? How many of you they have that saying, who gets dressed for other women, who gets dressed for men, and who gets dressed for themselves, right? As far as what you choose as an outfit. And I don't know what I used to do, but I definitely now dress for myself. Just trust me, I definitely do. Okay. And that's what I would recommend to all people. But I think most women, yes, is there some competition with other women? Yes, is there some, I want to be taken seriously in the workforce and I want them to see me kinda. But to me, even when we don't admit it, the core of the beauty wound is men. Oof, there it is. The core of the beauty wound is men. If you feel deeply attractive to men, other women might not like you, but I don't think, from what I've seen working with women, it creates other issues with other women, like maybe even guilt, insecurity that they don't like you, or they're trying to shut you out, or they think you're too good for them, or they think you're full of yourself or whatever. But there's not necessarily a wound of, I don't feel attractive, because even though men think I'm attractive, women don't seem to like me and therefore I must not be attractive. No, the woman who's in that position knows she's attractive. She just has, the other kind of social issues with women handling, with women dealing with their own beauty wound having been triggered by her. Okay. So when we ourselves are in the beauty wound and we're not going to deal, it's really almost like dealing with the aftermath, the after effects of getting out of the beauty wound, right? It's almost always about men. Right? So unfair. Here we are again. How many centuries and millennia have we been journeying toward female independence? And yet one of the deepest core wounds in women is based around what guys think. We haven't come as far as we think we have, right? But it's not so much that we haven't come as far, it's that you can't escape design. Women, of course, want to be desired by men. Men, of course, want to be desired by women. And there's incredible fulfillment in when you feel like you are, but you don't need to. Or you could be, you can be. That's my preference, actually, because there are days when I don't feel like doing anything, okay? You can be, and you are unconditionally, and you don't need it, because you've already built unconditional self-love directly into the cells in your body, okay? So the next double helix. Let's see how I draw this one. Should I just try something totally new? I'm going to have all these squiggles on my board that all look different. Let's do it like this. This is blue. Yeah, we'll do blue and purple. What if I just do it like this? Somebody's going to tell me that that's actually more accurate, right? I hope. Oh, that looks like a science book, friends. I think I got something. Okay. So in this one, oh, I love these topics. So important. Intimacy, and men. All right. Most women come to me for help with this. And you know what's funny? Not always, but frequently. They come to me for help with that because they fear the relationship with him is crumbling. Sometimes, I would say, let's say 40% of the time, women say, sex life is fine, but I know I can be enjoying it more. And sometimes she has the awareness that if she's not enjoying it more, this relationship could still crumble because she's so unhappy and out of kind of connection with him, right? But it's still so frequently because she feels like she needs to fix or save the relationship. And the first thing I tell her is what? Can you guys see this with the glare? I hope so. I'll write it in bolder. Because it needs to be said again. It needs to be said about 1 billion times. Extract it. Okay? Now I'm going to get more into that in a second. First, after I'm done with my very impressive coloration here, I want to jump back to beauty, okay? Because these two also get kind of wonky, right? I could almost do, what would it be, 5 double helixes? I really could. Where beauty plays into intimacy, because here's the thing. Let's just go there, shall we? If you don't feel beautiful, who cares? Like, why does it matter? Well, I want men to like me. You want men to like you for what? Like as a chef or as a, house cleaner or dog walker or babysitter? No. Right? What is the context in which we want to be attractive, even if we don't want to admit it or we're too uncomfortable to talk about the topic? It's this one, right? Guys don't walk around being like, man, she's gorgeous. She'd be a phenomenal cook, right? Right? Which is one of the reasons why the beauty wound has so much body in it, because guess what? Guess what's involved in intimacy? It's not your cooking skills. Okay. Thank God, because I'd flunk, right? It's your body. So now we don't even have the advantage, quote unquote advantage, of feeling in control, to take it back to that theme, by saying, hey, I just got my hair extensions yesterday. Yes, I can get the extensions. I can put on the fake lashes. I can do all the makeup. I can squeeze into Spanx and a cute little dress. And then if we just stay like that, I'll be fine, right? I look so good from the other side of the table. But if it has to come off, all those body, my tummy, my arms, the back of my thighs, right? That's where the wound just goes crazy. And why? Because it means we're not a good enough chef? No. Because we know, the core of our being knows, even if we're not comfortable acknowledging it sometimes, right? That our, not even ability to get them or please them, even our fulfillment as a woman in relationship with a man involves this act, right? And when you're healed around it, which we'll get to in a second, you even want it, right? It's not even just like, gosh, I got to do that because he wants some. No, you want it too. But if there's beauty insecurities based on your body, which is now naked and unashamed, right? Or naked and very ashamed, because we're post-Genesis here, the pain can go very, 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 very deep. The only way to do it is to extract, right? So first, if this were another double helix, which we could just draw yet another bad line and you guys could see this connection. If intimacy, if our confidence in intimacy is wrapped up in our appearance and we haven't healed the beauty wound, that's not going to be fun. How many of you want the lights off, right? Can we just hurry up, right? Because we can't, and so many women I talk to, this is the case, and they often don't even realize it. But one of the reasons they can't relax enough to enjoy this here is they're so in their head about this and therefore this, because they haven't extracted it, right? So could they enjoy intimacy more? Yeah, but they don't know how to shut off concerns about what he's thinking of their appearance. if we extract these, even just these two sections, like if you want to keep body and beauty together, fine. But just making this something that you become confident in without him, this gets so much easier. This gets so much easier. But the power move in this one is another extraction first. Okay? Find my right color. So let's imagine we have handled the body and the beauty ones. Okay? Intimacy. You went to a nice dinner. Now he thinks you owe him. And you're like, should I say I have a headache? I've got food poisoning. I'm just really tired. Right? Oh, so many women. If I never had to do it again, I'd be so happy. Right? I've heard that before. What if the most powerful thing you can do here is forget that he exists, right? And I've said this in some of my other trainings, so this might not surprise you guys too much. If you can extract enjoyment of intimacy and a sense of whether or not you're good enough. I haven't really talked about that one before, but it plays into this. Whether or not your performance is good enough, whether or not your appearance is good enough, whether or not anything like a good enoughnessitis. If you can pull that out, and the only way you can do it, no offense, buddy, is to just ignore him for a minute or for quite a while until you have retrained your being, until you've had that identity crisis moment around, am I safe in intimacy? Am I trustworthy in intimacy? Can I trust intimacy itself? Is this a safe experience for me to have? Am I still a good woman if I enjoy this? There's a bridge a lot of people who have had certain upbringings have to cross, right? And you don't even have to be coming out of a religious background. All kinds of people struggle with that one. Am I actually loved by a man if I'm engaging in this, or is this evidence that this love is just me? Right? Like extracting the value, the meaning, the significance, and the sense of purpose and confidence and self-possession and intimacy from men at all is how you take your power back. If you combine that with focusing on your wellness for yourself, with watching for where you feel the beauty wound and being able to handle it, you're getting very close to mastery. And you know what? Even though we don't want control, one of the first steps of mastery is actually feeling like you're bringing control back to you. I don't love to use that word. If you guys want to think of a different one with me, feel free, but it's like you're extracting the parts that you can control. I mean, really, when they work with people who have control issues, quote unquote, that's one of the biggest things they do, right? Okay, well, what about this situation can you control? And then we're going to not worry about the rest. That's kind of a little bit what we're doing here. What can you pull out of this situation that can feel so out of control, where we don't like our bodies, we don't like our appearance, he's not going to like us, we're not going to be safe. Now I have to like perform over here in order to be provided for over here in order to keep him in my life. And like, it's a disaster zone, right? So we're extracting the aspects we can control. And then we're not just extracting them for a sense of control, we're extracting them for ownership. Okay? Like when I was in that season with my body, yes, I didn't feel a sense of well-being internally. I wasn't at peace. I wasn't unconditionally loving myself, but nothing really changed between that misery and the beginning of mastery, other than just the decision to unconditionally love myself. Really, ladies, like if you like, that's where you begin. It was that first step to say, I am done with berating myself, with guilting myself. I'm going to have endless, constant, consistent self-compassion, no matter what I do, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many mistakes I make. Nothing actually changed in my eating habits, in my workout routine, in my sleeping routine. Nothing really changed except that decision to extract for ownership. I was done with being pulled into this whole messy system. I didn't really know what I was doing yet, but I was starting to just figure out, like, what can I do to get out of this misery of worrying about what I look like and what I think, and am I judged, and am I wanted, and am I loved? No, right? It's mine. And if you're a believer, it's really from God. Like it's an assignment and a responsibility and a gift to you. But there's an internalization of ownership. That's really what we're doing in these first three areas: internalizing the ownership of your body and extracting it from the mess, and internalizing the ownership of your appearance, extracting it from whether or not he thinks it's good enough. Is there an awareness of what makes women attractive? And you can have that awareness in certain relationship contexts, of course, but only out of the security of, I do it because this is mine and I want to, and it's playtime and it's fun, not because, oh my gosh, I have to, in order to be loved, in order to be seen as sufficient in this context, right? No, done, gone, unavailable, no more, right? So extracting an ownership for body, extracting an ownership for beauty, extracting an ownership for intimacy. I mean, you could stop right there. And he'd be like, I've been looking for a woman like you all my life. So many of my clients hear that after they've mastered these things. It's just like, everyone then thinks you're the one. Okay. Just because very few women are walking in this healedness in these areas. They might be spiritually kind of guru, divine connection. Okay. Whatever. They might, embrace like an understanding and respect for the masculine, but completely ignore their wellness, any issues over like this total balance mastery. Not because life is balanced, but because we are looking at the comprehensive picture of a full woman. That is irresistibly attractive. And then when you no longer have the wounds around all men want is intimacy, or all men want is a certain appearance, then you start to have awareness, understanding, and compassion of what's really going on in the masculine heart, mind, life, and journey. And you see them as a person, as a human being who happens to be in a masculine body, rather than as this other who we feel so judged by and who we have to somehow obtain through manipulative means. None of that, right? When you have all of that, I mean, you will be at the top 1% of women. Frankly, you really will, right? There's a lot of women who learn to pretend, okay? They learn to act like they're in these spaces. They're fit and they've got the hair and the makeup and they're super confident in the bedroom, but they haven't healed the wounds that are underneath the surface. They've just learned how to put on the appearance of having done the work without having actually done the work. And when you really become emotionally and relationally intimate with a man, he'll know the difference, and you'll know the difference. And that's when so many women who seem like these type A high achievers, alpha females, spin out into whatever, right? Like they get super manipulative, angry, and the breakup they have with him is just like this vicious mess. Or, like they go nuts because they haven't done the wound. And I don't know why I'm gesturing to the bottom half of the helix here, but like the underlying things. And then what kills me is the number of really sweet, good women who have done not necessarily the work, but they're just so wonderful and kind. And they do have compassion, and they do have self-awareness, and they do have it's just all these wonderful traits. But because of what they see in the world, or because they haven't dealt with some of the other woundedness, they're not manifesting in the world, in the body, beauty, intimacy, men areas that they deserve to be, because either they've been turned off by how other women who are faking it maybe do, or they have had some kind of trauma where they don't feel safe being that visible, that wanted, that loved, but they're such good people, right? So if I could help each type of woman deal with the woundedness that's on one half of the spectrum or the other, either what's lying beneath the appearances of having it all together, or allowing her to blossom and reveal the good soul that she is underneath. I mean, you wouldn't have so many men maybe saying, I know you're the one because you're like this, because there'd be so many other women who are also healed, Okay. Final double helix. You guys still with me? Is this making sense? This is where I'm really excited. And this is, this to me is where everything becomes possible. And I don't see it being taught in the way that I'm going to show you, in the way that we're going to get to the second half. After you extract, what do you do? And I think it's keeping a lot of women, just being very candid here, in exactly what I described of having the appearances. Oof, this is gonna be a little tough, okay? Having the appearances of having it together, but not having the undergirding of really having handled the deeper internal issues in business. Okay. Female entrepreneurship has exploded, which is beautiful. And many chicks go get a photo shoot and put their, coach sticker on their profile and put themselves out there. And then they get into groups of female entrepreneurs and they hustle and they JV and they run and do all the things and all the postings and all the summits and all the things. And then something crumbles. Now life crumbles, okay? Things crumble. But they crumble, right? Something cracks and it becomes more apparent that she's not really in mastery, okay? Where it's like maybe the floor falls out from under her, but like everything, like it's total meltdown express, which is okay because we need those moments of identity crisis. But I'm a little bit tired of women who are chasing money, frankly, very excited about building businesses, but without it's not necessarily a lack of integrity because their intentions are excellent, but without the healthiness, the wholeness that you can see mastery in them, even when stuff hits the fan. Like there are certain women who I have followed for so long, and they have been through some unbelievably difficult things, transitions, traumas, deaths, but the woman, are still riding the waves beautifully because they are in mastery. It wasn't a social media facade. It was a strength of soul that she had developed through doing the work in some of the hardest areas of being a woman. That's what I want for you guys. Okay, so let's get into this final. I'm out of colors, guys. Let's do this one black and purple, okay? I think my last attempt at drawing a helix was the best. We're going to go back with that. Oh, that's pretty. It's mission, which actually is last, and money. There's so many women trying to do really good things in the world, trying to figure out the business structures that actually generate revenue. How many of you have tried to start an online business and found out all of the things that don't actually generate revenue? It's a long, exhaustive list of ways to spend a ton of time and even invest a lot of money into something that doesn't have income returns. Okay. Not that I'm speaking from experience, but like, yes, I'm speaking from experience. It's like the amount of time you can waste on strategies that don't actually get you or your clients income or results is exhaustive. It's very long. Okay. So there's a lot of women who are doing the hustle. Like it's like the bad 70s dance. I think it was the 70s, right? Like they're doing the money hustle and they've got the smile on their face because you got to keep that vibe high, but they're missing maybe the mastery. They're also missing the actual structures that work, which it still blows my mind how few people know them. But there's just like, there's just so much noise out there when you're trying to create an income. And some of you, of course, have careers you're perfectly happy in. And maybe the noise that you're listening to then is all the people talking about how to invest it, how to grow it, how to save it, how to whatever it, right? So much advice that does not actually move the needle, but it's got so much hype and marketing around it, you can't quite tell what actually works, right? Which is exhausting for starters, which is why so many of these women then have the crumble down breakthrough moment where you get to see if she has mastery of soul or not yet, right? Because maybe that's her moment to decide to step into it, right? So it's crazy. And here's the exhausting thing, even more. When you're doing things that take a lot of time and don't make a lot of money, putting it that way, mission is like, oh, it's just when? Like, when are you going to have time? When are you going to have time? You know? You're trying to sell your like $7 ebook. They're direct messaging to cold target people who don't want to talk to you. Like, right? Like that kind of thing. There's no time. And so what do? Well, then some women kind of get panicked, like, oh my gosh, well, where is the money? Because I'm not making any. And I've told my husband I'm going to build this business. So please just keep letting me spend endless amount of hours on it, but it's not working, right? So they get into things, and same thing with women in careers where they're starting to invest or they're looking at a career move, but it doesn't feel aligned. Right? So, should you just do it? In survival modes, yes. Okay. In survival modes, yes. But when you're not in survival mode and you have that opportunity of an identity crisis where you say, but who do I want to be? I've got all these people in my ear saying that's not going to work. That's not who you are. Right? But who am I called to be? And what am I called to do here on earth? I don't want to listen to those voices. What is it? Right? When you do what is actually working, if you guys remember the masterclass where we talked a lot about design, you have space for mission for starters, but you also get to design with mission in mind. Mission gets built in. That's how I build anything, really. And some of my friends are even like, does everything have to have like a meaning and a reason to you? Yes, frankly, like my time on earth is limited. Make it count, right? Built in. Built in. When we extract these two wrongly, this is like where distraction goes bad. And what I want you to do for extraction is extract it from men, right? Because a lot of women will make relationship decisions based on money, or not in just a manipulative way, like I want to, get him so that I'm provided for. None of that. It's just maybe they stay because it's financial and the boyfriend is not someone to stay in a long-term relationship with. Maybe they're scared that if they actually do step into their power and start making money and become visible, he'll feel so threatened that he'll start acting out against you or whatever, right? That happens. So if there's an extraction that involves money, I actually want you to extract it from men. The earlier, the better, because it helps you to see what kind of man you're actually with and what kind of relationship you're building. But with mission, I actually want you to keep it intertwined as much as possible. Now, certainly there are some people who make money through something that is okay, and they're very good at it, and they're skilled at it, and then their mission comes from giving a lot of it away to causes that matter. But if you're here, odds are decent that part of you might be interested in an additional revenue stream, but you want something that feels good, right? Because when people try the online business tactics that don't make any money and they're exhausted and they're out of whatever their initial investment source was, they panic, they start heading toward the money. And as they head toward the money, they get out of alignment and it just feels gross. Not fun. That's a very different energy from, you're a surgeon who's killing it, who enjoys her work and who is also passionate about, poverty in a particular third world country where you did some kind of medical mission, right? Like that's beautiful. And in fact, they're still quite intertwined, aren't they? But that's very different from, oh my gosh, I need cash. Therefore, let me step out of alignment with what I feel called to. Okay, these are the two ways money can go bad. Let me step out of alignment with what I feel called to, even though there's probably a way to make money in a way that is aligned. Or let me somehow mess with my relationship with men, either needing them, thinking I need them for funding, or running from them and hiding behind money making so that I don't have to feel the fear of intimacy. I talked about that on the last masterclass. So if that is resonating with you, make sure you go back and watch that. I'm not going to go that deep on it today. Okay. But if there was something I want you to extract money from, it's your relationship with men and money. Okay. But mission, how do you build wealth in a way that feels aligned with mission? Is there even a way? And again, it's fine to have a high-powered career where then you're giving money away separately. But for a lot of women, they want to build something where it does feel like this beautiful double helix and you're going up in wealth and in impact, in income and in impact, in wealth and in difference making, right? How do you do that? So I don't remember what week it was, 2 weeks ago maybe, I announced the Bombshell Alliance, and that what I am doing to try to fix both of these kind of problems, right? Or just to add my help to this large problem that we're seeing in women that I have walked through and that I still see way too much, even at some of the top levels of quote unquote success, is that the women, right, where let's just go ahead and draw this line I keep talking about, right? They either have the appearance that it's all together, we're super happy, I'm really healthy, about to have a physical breakdown, but don't ask me about that. Or They're so sweet and they're so good, but my God, you don't even know they exist, right? And then building income in a way that feels like you're making a difference while addressing these areas of your life. So, the Bombshell Alliance has been a long time coming. It is absolutely the fruit of what I've walked through and seen I needed and what I see my clients need. Now, does everybody need it? No. There's a lot of women who they want to achieve mastery in one of these areas. They don't need income. They've got a killer job. They don't feel a need for an additional stream of income. They're good, right? Maybe they want wealth creation. Maybe they want to say, okay, here's money that I'm making in a way that feels really good. I do want investment strategies, or I do want a sense where I'm both building wealth and making a difference in the world. Cool. Absolutely. That's why I have Sunny. Okay. Because he's the expert in that. But sometimes they just want mastery in one of these areas, right? And that's like, I've worked in those areas for years, but I kept feeling this pain point where women want to generate income. They don't want to lose what they've built over here, what they're currently working on building in the mastery of these feminine areas. And they also want to feel like as they build income, they're not just like, I don't want to say a snake oil salesman, because a lot of things out there have value, but it doesn't feel like what they're really here to do. And it's not paying attention to the areas of their life that matter to them. They want to keep balanced. So in the alliance, for the women who feel called to this, right? Because that's the first step. Like if you're like, yeah, no, I'm good. I've got a career, maybe we can talk about investing, Sunny, but like, teach me this, Jackie, teach me this. Cool. But for the women who want more, okay? The whole goal of the alliance is to build you in your feminine mastery and to build you in your wealth, your income, your impact through wise investing. And Sunny's like, he knows so much. It's almost, I have to just say, that's all I can take for today, Sunny. Just stop. Okay. Like it's fire hose information. I've never seen anyone with such a breadth of wisdom and such a mission mindset. It's beautiful. So when women want both halves, and even in my own coaching, I previously have only done, we're going to work over here in body, beauty, intimacy, men, or we're going to work over here. If you want business coaching, that's fine. I've never provided a way to generate income built into the system using assets I already have. And I've never combined the coaching in both areas because I don't know why. It hasn't occurred to me until now, probably because I have been now in so many of these business masterminds and events where I'm seeing women at top levels financially struggle in feminine mastery, and they don't want to lose, right? They don't want to be like, I just decided to close my business and focus on my inner, divine feminine. Okay. No, they want to maintain the business. They want to build the wealth. They want to increase the impact, and they want to master the inner feminine, right? And the outer feminine. Okay. I don't just do inner work. We do both. Okay. So I think that's probably where I recognize the need for this, is that there needs to be a support structure and a network, a true mastermind of women who are looking at both. Because what I find, and literally I am in business masterminds and I am in personal development masterminds, I have not found one that is the both and that also doesn't just talk about business strategies generically, but that provides the assets to sell internally. Like you already have what you need for a successful business out of the gate. And meanwhile, you're being supported in your femininity, in your body care. Like we're doing calls around if you have a weight loss goal or a wellness goal or just a body image goal. If you want to transform the way you see yourself or the way you actually look, and yet do it in a way that feels grounded and self-honoring and not like you're selling out. If you want to take your relationship with intimacy to a next level, whether you're active or not, just to feel so safe and open and grounded and savvy in that area, that when then you do start either re-engaging, right? Whether you're dating or you have a husband already, you come into that with an energy of self-possession and confidence and standards, yet softness and compassion that just blows his mind because you've already blown your own mind, right? Like If you want to be walked through the growth in all of those areas in the courses that I've already had and been working with women in for 5 years and 7 years, respectfully, no, 9 years, geez Louise, okay, a long time. But you also want to talk about wealth, want to talk about money mindset, want to talk about like, what are the strategies to building income and impact that actually work, that don't burn me out so that I don't lose what I'm building over here. That kind of comprehensiveness, plus the entire built-in business in a box, if you will, of being able to already sell assets that have already been proven to be profitable, that women desperately need, that is in alignment with what the world needs, that if you feel called to work on it yourself, most likely will feel very aligned to be helping other women with, and not limiting you in this is what you do as your business, but teaching you the tactics to then go do whatever the heck you want. You want to get into e-commerce? We support you. You want to get into real estate? We have the partnerships to support you. You want to get into, selling jewelry or your own artwork? We can set you up with support there. Like, it's designed to be empowerment, not limitation. It's just empowerment that is balanced in both feminine mastery and in income and impact producing at the same time. And again, not just a conversation, here it is, girlfriend. Here's the starting plate. We've got you as you begin, as you work. We've got the partnerships as you build. It's built in. I don't want to say it's built in success because you have to show up and do it to some extent, of course, but like everything's there. That's my mission with the Alliance. I see too many women building businesses that don't feel aligned. And even if they get the strategies right, that's always a little bit rare. But even when that happens, they're not being supported over here, or they're being supported over here and now they're ready for this, but no one's giving them strategies that actually work. They're just generically talking about feminine mindset and money mindset. And it's like, but what actually brings in income, And then, oh my gosh, I have to start from scratch and figure out what website to use and domain names and branding. And am I making a course? Everything is done for you. And you're free to take what you're learning and create your own empire as well. Because that's my goal. I want you out there. I want you changing the world. I want healed women, highly resourced, positioned for impact, changing the world. We need more. We need more. Like, I want to go on vacation sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need more women doing this work with the unique voice that you have, with the unique appearance that you have, with the unique experiences that you have. Because you're going to speak to people who will look at me and be like, yeah, I just don't resonate with her. That's fine. But they'll resonate with you. Which is exactly why, bringing this full circle, God led you through whatever life meltdowns, opportunity, identity crisis that he did, so that you can now be standing in a new identity of mastery, or of being heading in the direction of mastery, that other women who resonate with parts of you, parts of your story, will see and will say, I trust her. I like her. What she's saying resonates as so true. I'm in, and you have then the built-in structures to escort them through processes that work, and to be building your own based on your own stories, your own callings, your own assignments, your own passions, your own talents. That's what we're doing in the Bombshell Alliance. So it is like, it's crazy exciting to me. We get to take a lot of elaborate trips together too. I always like that. Photo shoots, all of the things. If that's appealing to you, I'm going to write on the board the link. You guys can see here? Let's do it here. And I'll type so you guys can see it as well. There's a couple different levels, okay? So if you hear me talking, and you say, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what that would be. Erase my helix so you can see the line. Jackie, excuse me, I forgot my last name. Jackie Lacroix .as.me, so .as.me /libere, which is LIBERE. My goal is to free as many women as I can. So there's different tiers. And I don't want you to, oh my gosh, I could never do that. I will make it possible for everyone to do this. That's my goal. And it's one of the reasons why I build income creation into every tier, so that You can certainly move up if you want to, but you can also always earn back your investment. It's just, I'm trying to make this, I am making this as accessible as I possibly can while maintaining the integrity of what I'm trying to do, which is raise up women who are mastered in femininity, highly resourced, independently resourced, and positioned for massive impact. From a space where when life rocks them, we don't see women who build something impressive completely crumble internally because that soul mastery of the feminine was not yet solid. Okay? You guys get this? Does that sound exciting? I am on fire for this. And my voice made it through, guys. I didn't even have to sip my whole giant, storage container of tea. Yes? Cool? Getting it? Feeling it? Okay? The double helixes. The goal is extract them where they're wrongly intertwined, rebuild them where they actually make the most difference. I mean, I should do more research before I try to use this metaphor, but it's a lot like the building DNA and protein, all this we have far on a physical cellular level, more than we know, more than we're thinking. Break them apart where they're not supposed to be together. Rebuild them in a way that, and be this total woman, fully healed, highly resourced, massively impactful. If that speaks to you, I would love to talk to you again. There are several tiers so that everybody can begin somewhere, because that's the identity crisis moment of I get to decide now, who do I want to be? Not listening to the doubt, not listening to the inner voices of doubt, standing my ground, even if I'm not yet ready to take a step forward internally, standing my ground in this new identity that I can be this woman. I want you to say that to yourself. I can be this woman. And from there you build. So no matter where you're starting, you begin. And that's how I built this. So no matter where you're starting, you can begin. Okay? I love you guys so much. I would love to hear. It's like my favorite part. I love teaching. What resonated? What are your biggest takeaways? What are your ahas? What are your commitments to yourself that you're going to step into? If this is something that's of interest to you, because this is going to pick up speed and go, we're going to move. This is going to be awesome. All the energy is going. I really believe that the world needs women who are healed, not these like running around, all the social media presence, so many numbers, and then, oh my gosh, underneath, like no work has been done around feminine mastery. And also not women who are hiding, hiding, doing the healing work, who know they're called to share, but don't have a structure to develop the confidence and to have the actual framework to do it with ease and with almost instant income because it's built in. Okay? Big guys. I'll talk to you soon. Hopefully I'll talk to some of you even sooner. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Go libere. Go recognize the freedom you have and step into the identity of who you're meant to be. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.